Domestic and family violence is at epidemic proportions in the country. On average, one woman a week is murdered by her current or former partner. Almost 10 Aussie women a day are hospitalised for assault injuries at the hands of a spouse or domestic partner. It's an issue that all sides of politics are determined to immediately confront and eradicate. This week's budget, with its 87-page focus on women's economic and social safety, has been welcomed by service providers and advocates across the sector. Joining me now is Jacqui Watt. She's the CEO of No to Violence, an organisation that works with men who use family violence and helps them change their abusive and violent behaviour. Jacqui, thank you so very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Jenna.
Tell us, what's in this budget for the prevention of domestic violence in Australia?
So we're extremely pleased with the funding that has been given to continue the men's referral service, which means that we can continue for at least another year to have a national service for all men, any man in Australia who's concerned about his use of behaviour. We have staff available 7 days a week to take the call and to support that man to de-escalate and make another choice about using harmful behaviours.
Fantastic. Now, the men's referral line that you just spoke about there, tell us a little bit about that and how long has it been running and how does it exactly help men that may be in this microcosm of using family and domestic violence?
So, Jenna, we've been working at this for almost 30 years now. It started with a group of volunteers in Melbourne, as many good things do. It starts with a group of volunteers and people concerned to do something about the escalation of domestic and family violence. But we now have a fully staffed call centre and, as I say, we're able to speak to people any day of the week from anywhere in Australia and to both support that person, think about what they need to do, but also to help them access other services in their area.
What have the people that have been manning your phone lines over the past 12 months, specifically with COVID and continual lockdowns all around the country, have they noticed anything changed, or has there been a spike in calls and calls for help, or what have you noticed at the men's referral helpline there?
Yeah, we did. We noticed actually the spikes were actually very connected with the lockdowns. It was interesting to see how the numbers moved around in the days just after lockdowns. But we've seen a rise, Jenna, that's the main thing. We've seen a rise in the number of people reaching out to our counsellors for support. We think that's a good thing. However, we're very mindful that there does need to be a lot of services sitting behind that. And because we're also a member organisation and because our members deliver interventions right across Australia to men who have used or who are using family violence, I think, there's been a hugely positive step in this budget towards recognising that men's services need funding, but there is an awful lot more that we still have to do.
Yeah, indeed. And I guess prevention is where things have to start with men. So looking at the budget that we saw handed down by the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, this week, do you think there's enough of a focus on that specific area put forward?
Well, I think it's really great that we're continuing to support our Watch, which is the national prevention body. I think it's fantastic to see new initiatives. There can be trials. There's some mention in the various budget statements about trials, things that could be tried out, and a commitment to working, for example, with women from culturally and linguistically diverse communities as well. And I think what's really important about any prevention initiative is that it does engage the people in those communities. Because we know from our work in First Nations communities that they know best what messaging, what tone, and what things are going to be required. First of all, to get women to come forward, to say how they've been impacted by intimate partner violence, but then also to engage the broader community and have conversations with men.
Yeah, indeed. And that's the thing, you just want to get sort of men talking, whether that's through men's sheds or any other community service or grassroots organisation. I guess there is such a focus on women and children when we speak about family and domestic violence. But I guess when we want to talk about the majority of the perpetrators, which are men, what more can be done to assist them in these situations?
Oh, well, we're very pleased that we've also got a brief intervention service that sits behind that initial phone contact. So a man can access that, so up to 6 or 8 sessions with a trained counsellor to help unpack what else might be going on in their lives and to make some assessment of risk. Because we all do this work because we're concerned for women and children's safety. And we know that if we could get in a bit earlier with men before they begin a pattern of abuse and a pattern of coercive control, we'd have a far greater chance of stamping it out further down the tracks. You know, one of the things we've learned over the years is that if you don't stop it when it starts, then it goes on to become a problem later on. And no act of family violence is a single act. And you've mentioned, you know, the number of people who are impacted by homicides and deaths and the most horrific fatal situations. So we know that every step along the way is a step where we need to be getting in and having conversations and trying to steer people in a better direction for the sake of all of us, children, women, families and the whole community.
Indeed. Well, Jacqui, you at No to Violence and everyone there do such an amazing job, and I'm so glad that you're pleased with the first steps that have been shown in the budget this week. Our men's referral helpline number has been published on our strap there, so hopefully everyone that needs any help, reach out. But Jacqui Watt, CEO of No to Violence, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Jenna.